And we are live. Oh, we got an echo. You have all your devices turned down, Bradley?
Yeah.
Can you hear us all right, Floyd?
I can hear you perfect.
All right. This is our second attempt. We had technical difficulties with the original scheduled live, but we are back again. And our guest is Floyd Hancock.
Hello, guys.
And he's here to tell us about his abduction with what he claims is Mothman when he was a child. He was abducted and brought back unscathed. And Bradley's busy sharing this, so Floyd, if you want to begin.
Sure. First, I just want to say this to everybody. I offended somebody last night. I didn't mean to, but when you start asking me about God and stuff like that, I'm going to give you my viewpoint. It doesn't mean that it's right. It's just stuff that I have learned. And if I offend anybody, it's just maybe there could be some truth there that you're not accepting, or maybe I'm not accepting. But I'm going to tell you the truth, and in my opinion. And if it offends anybody, I was called the son of the devil, or a minister of the devil, which, hey, I've been called better, you know? So anyway, I'll go start with this. On the night of 1969, I had to be around October 30th, maybe early November. I was laying in my crib, and it's funny. My sister had, we shared a crib. We were really young, and she had wet the bed. Of course, those little plastic mattresses, they don't soak up anything. They just kind of run wherever it's lower. Well, of course, I was heavier, so I got all wet. And so I was yelling for my mom and dad, and they weren't waking up for some reason. And I heard this noise down the hallway, and I heard my grandmother scream. She said, "Oh my God, oh my God." She yelled for my dad, and they wouldn't even wake up. And my grandma was loud. I don't know how they did not wake up. But I heard this thing scooting through the hallway, and the next thing I know is something standing right beside my bed. So I lay back down and looked at it, and it was standing over me. It was like this, with its hands out like it's going to grab me. And I remember as a little kid, I went like this, like little kids do, and I peeked through my fingers. And I reached out to see if it was real, and it opened its mouth. And that's why I went like this again. And next thing I know, I don't remember anything. I was up at the top of the mobile home that we lived in, and I remember it being cold. And I remember seeing the ground. It was at night, seeing the ground because we had a light pole outside. And I would just call it the prairie creep is what I call it. Well, it jumped. When we jumped off the mobile home, I heard this big whoosh. Well, that was a wingspan opening up. And then when it did, we just went sailing above the trees. And it had to, I swear we had to be 1,200 to 2,000 feet high, I'm guessing. Cold. In fact, when I tried to move it, it gripped me even tighter. I remember the smell was so, I don't know what, like a dog mixed with sulfur maybe smell. A dead, rotting animal, maybe is what it smelled like a little bit. And as we were flying around, we turned, and the moon was so bright. I remember hurting my eyes. It was that bright. And next thing I know, we were heading down, and we hit the top of the mobile home again. Well, back then in the 1960s, the mobile home tops were all metal. So when we hit it, I heard a big crunch of the metal and it walking on top of the mobile home, crackle, crackle, crackle. When it put me down, I was barefooted and my feet was freezing from the cold rooftop. And the next thing I know, I wake up in bed. It was like, and my grandma the next morning, okay, was in hysterics. She was trying to tell my dad that something came through the roof. And my dad, I mean, she was, and I tried to tell my dad, no, no, Dad, something took me, something took me. Well, my dad thought my grandmother was scaring me, so he told her to knock it off. And she sat there and she cried. And I said, Dad, no, the monster took me. And I think my dad wouldn't let me watch Creature Features after that because he thought that my grandmother scared me that badly. So, but it returned me, and I can't tell you how long I was out. I could have been out a couple hours. I don't know. It had the ability to put me to sleep. If it wanted to hurt me, it could have easily done it. Like I was telling my cousin, I said it could have dropped me for 2,000 feet. You know, it could have had me for a snack because I was so little. That's all I'd be to as a snack. Yeah, it could have killed me. And when I think about it, I get choked up because I know. Sorry, I know it could have killed me. And my poor grandmother. Nobody believed my grandmother. Her nieces did, and nephews. They all believed her. And she told them it had one of us kids. And I told my cousins, I said, no, that was me. And they were saying, no, it couldn't have been you. You yeah, right. It's not you. And so today, well, my grandma would have been alive today. She would have told you she died at 85 years old. I think that she was, I got to think back when she died, around 87, 88, she passed away. But she told that story a lot. And every time she did it, my dad would correct her. It would scare us kids, and especially my little brother and sister that didn't know what was going on. They thought a monster was going to come in the house. I thought it was going to come back eventually to get me, but it never did. So years later, I meet Randy, and I move in with Randy, and there was a show on. It was called The Mothman. So I think it's called Mothman Prophecies. I think I can't remember. It was a series, and when we watched it, I remember the back of my hair on my neck stood up. I was like, "Oh my God, this really happened! This really happened! It wasn't a dream." And I thought it was the whole time. I thought it was a dream. I thought it was my boogeyman. Every kid has a boogeyman, and so when I watched it, I looked at my husband. I says, "This really happened. This really happened." He goes, "Why?" I says, I really was taken. And I told him about everything. And the next thing I know, I basically had a breakdown, a nervous breakdown. And I ended up in the hospital for about 3 weeks. So it's hard to tell because it's hard to tell people. I mean, there's times I do okay telling it, and there's times I get emotional telling it because there's just a lot of mixed feelings. Especially when I found out. So I did some research after I got back out of the hospital. And I said, okay, it was seen in Rolling Prairie, Indiana, is where I lived, New Carlisle, South Bend area. So I did some research. 1969, it was spotted in Rolling Prairie, South Bend area. And so I looked up the time, about that time, if there was a full moon. I looked it up, there was a full moon. So it all come together. I'm like, oh my God, this really did happen. So that's the story.
Yeah, okay. Julianne Guthrie Smolson says she's sorry she missed the beginning of the show, but where in the country does this occur? You said Indiana, correct?
Yeah, Rolling Prairie, South Bend, New Carlisle, Indiana, in that area. It's like right underneath Lake Michigan, northwest. Actually, it's directly west from here, so from Fort Wayne.
Candace Fowler says, what a brave little boy you were.
Well, I think if I'd have known that it was real, if I weren't dreaming, I don't think I'd have been so brave. But because even right now, I'm just kind of...
Candace also says, not all boogeymen are the Mothman.
Right.
Wow, Floyd, how intense this experience was.
I don't.
Be in your subconscious all your life is really tough.
I don't think it was the Mothman. Because if you look at the Mothman and the way they described the Mothman, it had red glowing eyes. this did not have red glowing eyes. It had humanoid eyes. In fact, I've got to prove to everybody that I did draw the picture that I'm showing. I've got it right here. So this is my picture that I drew. This is him, or it,
Now,
prairie
Floyd,
creep, I call it. Yeah.
Floyd, you also mentioned a while back that it had webbed wings like a bat, correct?
Yes. I do remember that. I don't remember. I would have to say they were at least 20 feet across. As a little boy, it's hard to measure to be memory, but had to be at least 20 feet across the wingspan itself. I mean, 20 feet both ways, not 20 feet together. About 40 feet wide. It's what it seemed like, because it had to be around 7 to 9 feet tall, because when it was in our mobile home, it was actually bending down like the roof was pushing on the back of its head. So it was actually leaning over like this and looking down on me. So
yeah, now that roof there was it had a hole in it or something to begin with, didn't it?
Yes, my dad was doing repairs to the roof of the mobile home, and it used to have a big old furnace, and the hole was probably about 4 foot round with a big pipe that went through it at that time. And my dad put plastic on top of the mobile home with bricks, so it, because the wind wouldn't blow it off.
Oh,
Well,
like
that night, yeah. So that night, I heard, my grandma heard the plastic being pushed through the hole, and because it was and that's when my grandma started yelling. I just thought maybe the wind had taken the plastic off.
Right.
But when my grandma started yelling, I knew something was wrong, and I kept yelling for my dad, and he would not. My mom, they would not wake up. It was like it had a trance on them and me. My little sister right beside me, I'm surprised she didn't wake up. But my grandma saw it, and I was the only one to be taken that I know of.
Yeah.
It was I don't know what it did to me. If it did anything, I don't know why it took me. A lot of questions. So
Terry Sedlock says my mom's from Virginia, and I have many family members on her side who still live out there, somewhere near the Point Pleasant.
Yep.
Where I first heard the story originated from. Heard them talking about it in my younger years. I think the Mothman's is first connected to the year of 1966, the year that Terry was born.
That was the year I was born, July 3rd, 1966. So yeah, yep. Actually, July 3rd, 1966 is when I was born, but actually when I saw the Mothman was 1969, around October 28th to November, somewhere around there. That's when the
could have been the 31st of October, Halloween.
It could have been. I don't know. I don't remember. Like I said, the only reason why I know it was that time because my brother was just born. My brother was born on the 28th of October, and when I looked over, my brother was wrapped up real tight next to my mom, and sleeping. And I remember my mom bringing him home just a couple days before, and so I had a little baby brother I was happy about. And but yeah, so it was 1969. Yeah, I said 66. That's the year I was born. 69 when my brother was born, and like I said, it had to be around, like you said, maybe Halloween or first or second November.
Now that trailer there, it being a trailer, must have had tight quarters, right?
Well, someone did another story on my story, and I don't know who did it, but I read it, and it's kind of way off. I mean, it's the same story, but it's worded differently. But the mobile home that they show is a camper. You cannot fit 7 people in a camper comfortably. No, this is a mobile home like I Love Lucy, that type of mobile home.
Right. Yeah.
It looked like that, except it being silver and yellow. It was red and white. I remember the colors. So I mean, it was a 2-bedroom. So yeah, so we were in tight quarters there for 7 of us. So
yeah, well, that's another thing that's amazing, because somebody should have heard you, right? I mean, all the screaming like from your grandmother and all that.
Yeah, and it was like that's how I know that even my grandma couldn't figure out why my dad wouldn't wake up and my mom wouldn't wake up. And like I said, my grandma, she was so petrified, she passed out. My grandma, she said when she had come back to, it was coming back through the roof, like to return, like one of us. She didn't know who it had. And she said that she wet herself at that time. And she said she just turned over. She couldn't look. And she was so afraid she passed out again. And then she said when she knew it was over, that's when she came in to yell at my dad. Even then, when she was yelling at my dad, it was hard for him to wake up. Wow. So whatever this did to my mom and dad and everybody was still, it was like a sleeping pill they were on or something. It was just something else. So, and I'm sorry that, like I said, I could tell the story, no problem sometimes, and there's times that I guess the memories and the fear comes back, and the fact that I could have been killed, that's pretty damn scary. So,
Carl Hearn is asking, is Mothman an alien?
I don't think so.
Alien to us, right? He's very unique at the very least.
Well, I'll just say this: I don't think so, but I don't know. I mean, it could be a reptilian type alien, a flying alien. It didn't look reptilian, kind of, sorta, but I didn't have. It had like fur. It's either fur or black feathers, real tiny, and it was like just all over it. And I couldn't tell at that time if it was fur or if it was like black feathers. So.
Julianne says, "Wow, thank you for sharing your story. It's still traumatic for you."
Yeah. Even I'm 56, so and I think it'll always haunt me until I die. You know.
Now, were the wings smooth? Were they like?
Yeah, they were smooth. As far from what I remember, when they were stretched out, it looked like a skin membrane. That like when it went through by the moon, you could see the moon shining through the membrane. It looked cloudy. It looked cloudy. It didn't look clear, but it looked like it was thin skin.
Basically, webbed wings, right? Like
yeah, like a skin, some type of skin.
Must have had a huge pair of wings, huh?
Yeah, I would, like I said, being little, it looked like it was humongous. So I said it was probably 20 feet, but that's probably 20 feet per one wing. So it had to be 40 feet across. It had to be
like a 40 foot wingspan, right?
Yeah. Well, I guess it would have to be with something that tall. I mean, 7 to 8 to 9 feet tall. Maybe it was taller. I don't know. So something that big. And you know, it's funny. They saw this thing in Chicago. So flying building from building. I think it was 2002 or 2004. And I guess 400 people had seen the same thing. And I looked at my husband. I says, "There you go. There's more proof that I got for you." So yeah, the more that people talk about it and draw pictures, I'm always looking at what they draw, and you know, hopefully one day somebody will take a picture of it. That'll be something else, you know.
Well, at least you know, we know you were taken. We don't really know what transpired, but at least he brought you back unscathed, so that's not so bad, I guess.
Well, like I said, I don't know. I mean, it could have done anything to me. Like, I don't know how long I was out. And I'm guessing I was out maybe 20, 25 minutes, but I could have been out most of the night. I don't know. Now, what it did to me, I have no idea. Could have implanted something in me. Yeah, it could have, but I don't think it did, because I had x-rays and as a kid, and they didn't find anything different. So, that I know of. I mean,
Candace Fowler says, a friend of mine had alien contact since a very young boy, and sometimes his family members were asleep and just like your parents, they didn't wake up.
Yeah,
like they were in a trance or something too. So this is a thing, and I'd really like to know more about this phenomenon.
Yes. I don't know what else to tell you about it, but it's been seen all over the United States, West Virginia, all the way north of Canada, all over the East Coast. I guess it's been seen. Plus, you know, Indiana's got a lot of these army barracks too, that no one really goes to, and they're abandoned. So I wonder if it's hiding out there. But my theory is it's been seen around Lake Michigan a lot, like Lake Erie, and I'm wondering if there's underwater caves that it could live in. I'm sure there's more than one.
Oh, I'm
Um,
sure. Yeah, I mean, caves, wooded
yeah,
areas.
yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah. So it's I don't know what to say about it. And it's just I was terrified, you know. Uh, Not being believed for most of my life kind of hurt too, you know. I was being called a liar. Um,
Jim McFarlane says yes. The one I saw around 7 feet tall and had wings like a bat with no
yeah,
feathers. Yeah,
yep, yep. Okay, well maybe it didn't have feathers. So like I said, I was just 3 years old trying to remember what I saw, but the eyes I could not forget, and the teeth I could not forget. And I remember it had a humanoid head, so that that was to me scary. I don't know if anybody remembers the old creature features where it was a guy in a hat and he had these fangs. The beginning of the show, that's what it reminded me of a little bit. And every time I saw that creature, I would say, "Ooh," and my dad would make me turn the, channel because he thought I was
yeah.
being terrified by it. And I kind of was, because it would always bring back that memory of that thing taking me. So, and
Candace says when she first heard the story, she thought that maybe he didn't hurt you for a reason. So there must
yeah,
be some
yeah,
reason. Yeah.
yeah. I think me and Candace, I think me and Candace did talk. Hi, Candace. We did talk about this, and it could be because maybe I think she said it's because maybe I'm a shaman and it knew I was a shaman. I think Bradley even said that too at one time that it knew that I was different from the rest of them. Is why it took me and why it chose me. But when this guy did the story on me, the reason why he did the story is because I was abducted. He goes, all these stories I have on it, nobody's ever been abducted but you.
Yeah.
I say I have no idea why. Now, if you read this,
Valerie
yeah, go ahead.
Valerie Jackson is saying that's true. It was seen in Chicago. I live in Chicago, and I remembered this from the news. The news,
Yep,
scary.
yep, yeah. And people ask me if I'm afraid it's going to come back. I kind of wish it would. I really wish I would see it again. Um,
Jim McFarland says the one I saw was at a place called Trace Creek, Missouri, and there is documented cases of others seeing the same in Trace Creek, Missouri.
yeah, yeah, it's seen all over the Midwest, part of the South, East Coast. Yeah, so and parts of Canada. So
Yeah.
mainly by water. I think it lives by water.
Yeah,
So
Julianne says not having your story is part of the worst sort of trauma to
yeah,
endure. People distance themselves
they
when you
do.
need to be supported the most,
Well,
especially as a child. Hugs.
thank you for that. Well, I found a cousin that I didn't know I had through Jim, and he wanted to know more about me. So I told him about this story. Well, next thing I know, I'm blocked. When he told Jim that I was a minister of the devil, so I'll accept that. Like I said, I've been called worse by better. So, and probably that's probably the nicest thing I've been called in a long
Floyd.
time. Yeah,
Floyd. As individuals, we know what our experiences were.
sure.
What other people say or think is irrelevant.
It is. It is.
You know, I
It
mean,
just bothered me, you know.
I have some bizarre tales, or what would seem like bizarre tales of my own. And those who are negative about it, I could care less. I
Sure.
just let it roll off my back. I'm not here to spew anything down anybody's throat. You know what I mean?
Well,
All I
once,
can do is say, all I can do is reveal what I've experienced,
sure.
and it's up to them whether they want to believe it or not. I don't worry about that one bit.
It's hard. It's hard to. Someone asks you about it, and then they look at you directly in the face and call you a liar. That's what bothers me the most. And like I said, look, believe it or not, I'm telling you the truth. Why would I lie to you about it? I mean, I have nothing to gain by this, you know.
Right.
I would like to have more support, but if you're not going to support me, that's fine, But having everybody here saying that they support me on this, it really means a lot. I'm telling everybody that I love you guys. You guys, I'm telling you, this show, this group has really helped me out. It's changed my life a lot, and has put my mind more on the focus on better things in the
Well,
future.
Floyd, that's what it's all about. We try
Yeah,
to create a platform with people that have similar experiences where they can talk about their experiences without the fear of being ridiculed.
yeah, yeah.
Carl Hearn says, can you briefly describe the experience? I missed the introduction.
You mean what? But when it took me, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, when it took me that night, it was standing over my bed, and it was so tall it was actually leaning over like this. I mean, the ceiling was here, so it had to be. See, the ceiling's about 8 foot, so maybe 9, maybe 10 feet tall. I'm not sure. And so when I reached up to see if it was real, it opened its mouth, and I saw these teeth. And of course, as a child, I went like this. The next thing I know, I'm on top of the mobile home. I don't know how I got up there. Obviously, it took me up there. And then when we were at the end of the mobile home, looking down, uh, it was a long way down, actually, especially for a little kid to fall. But then it jumped. When it jumped, I heard this foof. When that happened, yes, because of the wingspan went out, and we flew over the trees. Like I said, got to be. We were so high up, it had to be about 1,200 to 2,000 feet tall, or high up. I'm sorry, and yeah, looking down, I could see the top of the trees like a long way down, like I was on top of a big building, looking down. It was scary, and as when I tried to move a little bit, it grabbed me tighter, and like I said, the smell from this thing was like a sulfur, dog, or rotting animal. It smelled like all that in one. I remember it was disgusting, and it took me around the sky for a little while. And when we turned around, the moon was so bright it hurt my eyes, and so we flew back down. I mean, we were coming down a long way. It took us a while to get to the mobile home, and went on back to the mobile home. And when we hit the mobile home at that time was all tin metal. And when we hit, it went crack like metal, and it walked a little bit, and then it put me down, and my feet, when it touched the top of the mobile home, was ice cold. I remember how cold it was, and the next thing I know, I'm back in my bed. So so it had the ability to put me to sleep at any time, and it had the ability to put my mom and dad to sleep, or actually they were asleep, to keep them asleep, and everybody else but my grandmother. My grandmother was the one that saw it take me out.
She actually witnessed it. Yeah.
Yes, she's seen it take me through the ceiling, but she didn't know who it was. She saw the feet.
Technically, it was just as traumatic for her as it was.
Oh
for
God!
You.
Well, listen, my grandma, when she would tell the story, she would cry, and I always felt bad for her because it was like nobody believed her. I mean, her niece and nephews did. Obviously, they loved her. I loved her, and every time she would cry, I would say, "Grandma, I saw the monster. I saw it." She goes, "No, you didn't, son. You know you didn't," because she knew that my dad had yelled at her before for scaring me. Well, she didn't. She wasn't scaring me. I was just trying to tell my dad that my grandma was telling the truth. But my dad was so protective, of his kid.
Carl Hearn is asking, could it have been a lucid dream or an
No.
astral projection?
No.
Maybe
No.
just say it.
No way. A dream does not squeeze you. A dream does not. You don't feel cold on a metal tin roof, or the jump. You don't. And the wind in your face, the coldness. That was no dream. That was absolutely not a dream.
Did you have any marks or anything after that occurred, or
like what?
Like any red marks or any visible signs of being held tight or anything like that?
No. But since then, it was like that was the beginning of me starting to see things. Though, and no, I'm not crazy or I wasn't hallucinating. But I would see things in the mobile home, but my little brother and sister did too. But my mom and dad couldn't see whatever's. I told my mom and dad there's something in the back. Someone just walked by. My mom would go back there and then she'd come back out and say no. And my little sister said they just walked back the other way. Well, my mom would go back there. So we were seeing little things. I'm not sure if they were ghosts or demons or what they were, but ever since that time is when I was able to start seeing things. So I think that might have been an awakening for me. Maybe as a shaman,
So in that area, you also experienced paranormal experience.
Paranormal experiences, yes. And
Now,
I keep forgetting about that one. So
was that by any like burial grounds or anything like that?
way back out there, we were in the middle of the field, way out in the middle of nowhere, trees all around us. The next house was quarter of a mile away, which was my grandmother's house, my other grandmother, and we were way out. It could have been in the bare ground. I mean, we were way out. I mean, it was like 5 acres long. We were at the end of that, with nothing but woods around us. So I guess if I were a monster or something, that would be where I would hide, in the woods. So that. It was a thick woods.
Yeah, Candace is asking, how long were you gone? Do you have any idea?
Well, I would probably guess maybe 20 minutes, but it could have had me after a couple hours. You know, like I said, it had the ability to put me to sleep. So, and what it did to me, I have no idea. Like I said, it could have put an implant in me. I could have been an experiment that I don't remember. Like I said, it could have dropped me from 2,000 feet, 1,200 feet up, killed me. It could have eaten me for a snack. It could have done anything to me, but it as far as I know, it did not hurt me. The only thing that hurt me was the side of it traumatized me. That really traumatized me.
Leanna McCoy says that is common for kids to see stuff. Adults block something that happens due to the society, peer pressure, etc.
Sure. Yeah, it's and about 2 years ago, I'm in my living room sitting down, and I'm in the dark, and I talk to spirits and gods and demons or whatever you call them, and I talk to them, and I was on my phone, and I have infrared on my phone, and so I kept seeing something on the wall, but I couldn't make out what it was. It didn't really look like a face, so I put an infrared, and when I got it, it came clear what it was. It looked like a demon. So real quick, I had pencil and paper, and I was kind of jotting down what I was seeing before it disappeared. And once I got it pretty much jotted down, it disappeared. So, but what I saw that night, was this.
Yeah, well, here's an interesting comment from Candace. She says,
Yes.
if you're ever in a situation where you feel in danger from metaphysical entities or paranormal activity, you might consider calling on the creature to protect you.
Yeah, I always say I bind you. You can't hurt me is what I always yell out to it. And a lot of times that or I'll just say I'm more powerful than you. Get away from me. And sometimes that works. Sometimes it don't. So before this COVID hit, right before the COVID hit the United States, I went out in the hallway to walk my dog. I took my dog outside, and as I come back, and it was about 12 o'clock, midnight, and as I grabbed the doorknob to go back upstairs to where my condo was, I grabbed the doorknob, and something said, "Don't move." It's like it was something inside of me said, "Don't move. You're going to see something." Now I'm like, okay, and it said, "Look straight ahead." I'm looking straight ahead, and I look at my dog. I said, "Oh, I think we're going to see something, pup." And about that time, right around 12 o'clock, there was this mist, the shadow that blocked out a light as it was moving across. And we have a T hallway. Like I live down here, there's like a T. Well, it crossed the hallway, and as it did, it blocked out one of the lights and moved forward. And I think it was all black. It looked like smoke is what it looked like. So the next day, I had called the complex, our condo, and I said, "Please look at the camera to find out if I saw anything." And I told her what I saw. She called me back. She goes, "Well, Floyd, the only thing I could tell you is I know you saw something." So how do you know? She goes, "Because at 12 o'clock, the camera stopped working, and they're brand new cameras. We have no idea what happened." So that to me was more confirmation what I saw was what I saw. So, and then after that, it was like 13 people in both buildings passed within 2 months apart. 13 people, including my puppy. My puppy also passed. Yeah, it was rough. It was rough, and not just my puppy. My neighbor's dog died, and the woman downstairs, her dog died, all in the same month. So
Anthony Hayes says, "Hi guys. Too much knowledge is like in the film Crystal Skull. Too much for the average mind unless they are protected from higher powers that deem them no harm. But knowledge in the wrong hands is fallen mind and soul, yet they do not know it at the time."
Cole Hearn says, what spirituality do you practice, Floyd?
I'm pagan. I used to be Christian. And not to offend anybody, that Christianity is not for me no more. Not after what I've studied, and I've been studying the Bible for 20 years. I'm a minister, Christian minister. I kind of denounced Christianity after what I found out in the Bible, and I won't discuss that because sometimes it offends people, and I don't mean to do that. But yeah, I become pagan because I think paganism, spiritualism is where it's at. I don't believe that Christianity, in my opinion, I don't believe they've got it. If I do anything, I'll go to I'll become I'll become Jewish before I would be Christian again. So I think the Jewish people have it pretty much down too. When you read the Torah, they tell me that the Torah it's not the same thing as the Old Testament. They're totally different, and they're right. And I've met with several rabbis to explain this stuff to me, and yeah, they just told me, hey, take your Bible, wrap it up in a really, really nice, and here's my suggestion for you. So what's that? He goes, go by your nearest dumpster and throw it in. I'm like, really? I said, I don't really want to tell everybody that because that might offend a lot of people. He goes, sir, your Bible is garbage. I said, okay, it's garbage. I believe him. I believe there's some truths. I believe there's some truth in it, but it's just been changed so much.
John Mormon says it could have been a courier sent out to bring you to someone else.
Could have been, yeah. But wherever it took me, I have no idea where it took me. So,
Leanna McCoy says, I feel this is true that most, if not all, metaphysical paranormal things are extraterrestrial. We just give them a name.
Yeah. It like I said, it could have been some type of alien from another world. Well, not necessarily for another world. I believe there are aliens that live here on Earth and they're still here before we got here, like in the center of the Earth or in caves that we have not explored yet. So, I mean, there's big possibilities everywhere.
Well, yeah, extraterrestrials, I believe, existed before man did.
Yeah. Well, okay, I'm going to be a hypocrite here. Getting back to the Bible, the book Enoch was taken out. It explains all that to what beings were here before humans came here. So, but that's a book that's been removed from the Bible. So I can't really say it's part of the Bible anymore. So I'm not really being a hypocrite when I'm going back on that. When you read the book of Enoch, you'll see why a lot of things have come to where it's at. So.
Jim McFarland said he had two friends who saw a black dog like Floyd. Both died shortly after, mysteriously.
Yeah. Well, I had called my neighbor. She calls me a witch, and I'm kind of open to that a little bit. I mean, I do some practices, but not like she does. But she said that what you saw was a spirit of death. It was the angel of death, and she said, how did you feel? I said, I just felt confused at first. And as I was not in fear at all. But what was really, really sad about, what's really traumatizing about it is when 2 or 3 months after all this happened, I went blind. I lost my vision in my left eye, completely black. And that scared me. I said, oh God. And my friend said, it's because you were not supposed to look at this entity or this, because you saw it, it really it did something to you. And so they did corrective surgery, and for 8 months later, I got my vision back a little bit, and then my left eye went blind. So so whatever I saw was I wasn't supposed to see, I guess, but or maybe it was just so powerful that nobody should look at it. I don't know. It's like looking at God. If you see God, will you die? The spirit to me is a God, a type of God, and I looked at it, but it told me to look. It told me to watch it, so I did. Was I tricked? No, I don't know. I don't think it was. I mean, it spoke to me inside. I didn't hear it here. It spoke to me inside, and something. It was like something. I can't explain how to describe it. It was like it was a voice on the inside, but it was so overwhelming. I froze, and I looked forward like it told me to, and the next thing I know, I saw it moving across the hallway. Now my dog didn't see it. Go ahead.
Anthony Hayes is saying Enoch was related to Noah, and Noah still has a part to play in the end times.
Possibly. Yeah. But there are books that's totally been lost. It's been burned, that we'll never know about. So, and I even told another minister we had a complete Bible like they said we do. Our Bible's not a complete Bible. It's only a fraction of what is supposed to be there. I said we would not need cars. We would not need automobiles because we would be able to fly to wherever we were going. Because a lot of that stuff that's been lost was ancient knowledge of spaceships and time travel and all that. It's been burned. We'll probably never know or find out what was ever in there completely.
Well, I mean, it can't be the actual version of what actually transpired because over time it changes completely.
When it got to England, the first church, when they were putting the Bible together, they left out, I think, 70 something books, and someone said there's a lot more they've left out, and they're still finding, like the Dead Sea Scrolls and all that. They just left it out because they didn't feel it was necessary for mankind to know, because if they know too much, the church loses its power and money and control.
Well, that's what it's about. In other words, it's a fear tactic for a few to control the masses, period.
Yep. And what's really funny about that, it says that we should fear God, right? Listen, right. This is funny to me. We should not fear anything, but it said we should fear God. Now, the scripture in the Bible says that God has not given us the spirit of fear, but power, love, and of a sound mind. So that contradicts what they're trying to tell me, that I should fear God.
Well, yeah, I don't fear God. When they tell you to also fear the wrath of the good and loving God, if you do not do His will, that you'll be condemned to eternal damnation. That's scarier than Satan himself.
Well, like I told this my new cousin I found last night, and I won't mention his name. I just want to let him know if he's watching. Look, I love you, and I'm sorry if I offended you, but I know what I know, and like 20 years of experience. I'm not saying I know everything. I don't. Nobody does. I mean, I got a lot to learn yet, as well as anybody else. But when it comes to the Bible, there are things that we don't know. Like I said, there's been over 70 something books removed from the Bible, and God is not going to create you. Okay, if we're His loving sons, and daughters, and we do wrong, you're not going to take your son and daughter and throw them into a pit of fire or into a stove. If you are that loving, if that's your kid, just think how much more God loves us. So that fiery pit in hell is a lie. It's a lie from the church to keep us under control. And a lot of people are brainwashed. They don't want to hear that.
That's the way the fear tool comes in. Terry Sedlock says she just watched a documentary on a few people that had witnessed craft alongside of Mothman.
Craft?
Alien craft, yeah.
No way. What documentary? Is it a documentary?
Yeah, she says, yes, I was just saying that I watched a documentary on a few people that had witnessed craft alongside of Mothman.
I would like to see that. That would be very interesting to me. Definitely. So, but listen, I like I said, I guess I worry too much what people, whether they believe me or not. I guess I shouldn't, but like I said, it helps me when to hear people say, "Hey, I support you," and what they've said tonight or today really helps me. I'm not saying I know everything. I don't claim to know everything. I may be a minister.
Nobody does. Nobody
study
does.
for 20 years, but that doesn't mean that I know more than you do or any less than you do. I just know what I know and believe what I've studied, and to be truth, even though I thought truth was truth, I found out it wasn't truth. I'm always finding new things out every day, like everybody,
Floyd,
you know? Yes, sir.
Floyd, there is no one truth.
No, there's so much. There's so much. I've studied with Jehovah's Witnesses. I've studied with the Mormons. I've studied with Buddhism. I've studied Muslim. I've read the Quran. I've studied all that, and they've all got a little bit of truth there. When it talks about the love of God, I really do believe that is legit. But when it starts talking about the wrath of God, I don't believe that. I believe that was added.
The closest to the truth anyone will come in this lifetime is what each individual perceives as being their truth.
Right.
So there are many truths, right?
Right.
So the bottom line is life is a journey to be experienced, not a problem to be solved. Right.
It's for all of us, yes. So, yeah. So it's a long journey. It's been a long journey. Got a long way to go yet, too, I feel. So.
I'd just like to say a shout out to Jason Horsball, Cole Hearn, Terry Sedlock, Jeremy Lee, Liana McCoy, Jim McFarlane, Bradley Chester, Corey Howes, Ascending Link. Thank you for joining us. Floyd Hancock is sharing his story about a Mothman as a Mothman abductee. He was taken by a Mothman on Esoteric Hours. He's sharing that experience that he's encountered for those of you just joining. And he's got a lot to say.
Yeah, unfortunately, I do. You can actually make a 3-hour show, and I'll still be talking probably. So
Anthony Hayes says the Library of Alexander still has yet to be revealed.
Yeah. So yeah, there's, like I said, there's so much to know, so much to find out, that I don't believe that everything that's out there will know all of it. There's no way. There's too much information out there, or to even remember even. So even if you study something, it's hard to always remember what you've studied sometimes. And then when you hear it, like, oh yeah, I remember reading that. So yeah. So.
And you live to tell the tale. That's a good thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I agree with you. There's an element of truth in all religions.
Right.
Terry Sedlock says, yeah, I remember you telling me that. Having no fear is the key.
Yeah. Yep. It is. We should not fear anything. When we start fearing a demon or whatever, we give it power over us, because when we fear, we become weak inside. We become trembling, where we don't feel like we can fight, and it wins.
That's what they do. They feed off your fear.
Yep.
And Candace Fowler says, I think it's got everything to do with our will and intent. Like you said, don't let it scare you.
Right. Well, like I said, one night when my husband got really, really sick, we didn't know at the time he had sepsis, really, really bad. He had double pneumonia. We didn't know that. And when he went into a coma for 30 days, I went in there, and doctor comes and said, he says, I've done everything I can for him. There's nothing more we can do. We've tried everything known to man. There's nothing, because you need to prepare. I said, for what? He goes, Floyd, he may not be here tomorrow. And I said, no, I don't hear you. I says, I'm going home. I said, it's my turn. That's all I said, my turn. I didn't know what I was going to do. I go home and fed my dogs, let them out, hit the floor, and I cried the whole night. And I sat up finally on the love seat, and I said, God, I need to hear from you. So I opened the Bible, and that's right where I've seen I've seen it 100 times, but just now hit me that Jesus says he's not God. He's not the little son of God, but he's the son of man. That just now hit me. What's saying to me? Jesus is not God. for the very first time. Well, I threw the Bible thinking, okay, Satan's messing with my head, you know? So I said, God, I need to hear from you. Well, I thought somebody was in my house because a voice came through my wall. It told me what to do for my husband in the hospital. And I stood up in fear, thinking someone's in my house. I look in the kitchen, nothing. I look around the house, nothing. Finally come back into the room and I says, okay, God, spirit, demon. And I said, no, I don't think you're a demon. You wouldn't be telling me what to do. So I said, okay, I'll do what you tell me to do. So I went up there, spent the whole day. Before I left, I shut the door, the curtains, and I picked him up like it said to and told him what to say. I said in his face, stop your dying. It's not your turn. We got things to do, and just little things. And I laid him back down. I cried and covered him up. And I had gone out of the room, and I guess the doctor was yelling my name. He said I was like in this trance. It was like I was in this tunnel. He goes, I just walked right by him. He was yelling, Floyd, Floyd, Floyd. And he goes, I just walked. I didn't hear him. And I got in my car. I come home. I got up the next day, not knowing what I was going to find. And remember, he's been in a coma now for 30 days. I walk in. He's sitting at the end of the bed. Well, and he says, he said, where you been? I says, I've been up here every day. He goes, what do you mean every day? I said, you were in a coma for 30 days. He goes, no, I wasn't. He goes, oh, by the way, I ordered you lunch. When he said that, I just bawled. I said, you're okay. I said, I said, you know who I am? He goes, of course I do. I says, so the doctor came in to give me some more bad news. Like, Floyd, it's time to pull the plug. He walked in and said, Floyd, and he looked over, he goes, Randy? He looked at me, he goes, Floyd, what happened? I just went like this. He goes, it had to have been. He goes, Floyd, I was yelling your name last night. You walked right by me. I said, I did? He goes, something happened to you in this room last night. What was it? I says, so I told him what I did. He goes, you're a shaman, Floyd. You need to look into shamanism. He goes, the fact that you didn't see me and I was right there beside you yelling your name. You just walked right past me like I wasn't even there. He goes, Randy should not be able to speak. Randy should not be able to walk. Randy should be brain dead right now. Randy, what the hell's going on with you? Randy goes, just get me the hell out of here. And we start laughing. Doctor says, let me do some tests. 3 days of testing. The doctor come back to us and said, you know what? Floyd, this is impossible. I said, what? He goes, there is nothing wrong with him. Everything that he had when he came in is gone.
What was he originally in the hospital for?
Sepsis. And if people know anything about me, he had full-blown AIDS again. And double pneumonia. Doctor said he was done. He was done. There was no way he's going to make it through this. But when the doctor ran his tests, he come back. His doctor had tears in his eyes. He said, Floyd, look at. He said, Floyd, look into shamanism. He says, there's something about you. You have some type of power. I said, no, I'm just Floyd. Sorry. I gotta stop. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Floyd. It's okay.
You okay, Floyd? This video froze up.
We're coming to the end of the show now, anyway.
Yeah, it was a very traumatic experience indeed.
Yeah, as you can see, what Floyd is passionate about sharing his experiences because they are very true.
Huh?
They are very true.
Yeah. Hi, Chris, Joe Marie.
Thank you, everyone, for watching Esoteric Hours. This was Floyd Hancock sharing his experiences as a Mothman abductee. Thank you everyone for joining and your contribution to the thread, to the show.
Yeah, okay. I guess we'll end it now. We're at the top of the hour, and see you on the other side.
Okay. Thank you everyone for joining Esoteric Hours. Another edition of Bradley Powell's Esoteric Hours with my co-host Jim Andre.